Am I the jerk for refusing to go to my sister's wedding after finding out only our side of the family had to pay to attend? So my younger sister, Katie, 28F, and her partner, Chris, 29M, are getting married in April in Dubai. She has always wanted an extravagant wedding and is going all out on this, so the wedding is happening over 4 days. There are 70 guests, but they want us, me, my husband, and parents, to stay in the same hotel with them along with her bridesmaids. I'm the maid of honor and groomsmen. The hotel is pretty luxurious, so with flights, it's costing us just over £2,900 each. Chris's family are also staying in the hotel, which includes his parents, 2 brothers, and his nephew. They are well off. I don't know exactly how much they earn combined, but I know Katie is on £88,000 and she is the lower earner. About 6 months ago, Chris and Katie came to us and asked to borrow £17,000 more. They stressed it would be a loan paid over time and said the venue had increased in price, Dubai law was different, etc. They had to pay this money or lose the lot. We believed them, and I offered to loan £7,000 and my parents the other £10,000. So, long story short, I have since found out through someone else that the £17,000 wasn't for the venue, it was for Chris's family to fly over there. They saw how much it was going to be, didn't want to pay, and refused to go. I asked Katie, and she confirmed. So my first question was, if they were paying for his parents, why not pay for ours? I would never expect them to pay for me, even if we couldn't afford it, I'd have wished them well and stayed at home. Her answer was, because they can afford it. She got very defensive and said this was the fairest way she could think of doing it, it's hard enough planning a wedding, etc. But when I asked if you genuinely thought this was the fairest way to do it, why did you lie about what the £17,000 was for and say it was a venue issue? She couldn't answer. My parents are aware and are very disappointed they lied, but have said they're still attending. I have backed out. To me, it feels like my parents are being taken advantage of, and if they couldn't afford to pay for both our and Chris's parents, and his brothers and nephew, then they should have just paid for the 4 parents or no one at all. And they especially shouldn't have lied about it. Katie and Chris keep calling and asking me to attend, saying I'm making them feel bad and ruining their day. But the whole thing just feels icky to me. I'm genuinely an open book, so be brutal. Am I being a jerk here? Should I just suck it up and go? /relevant comments. Commenter. Not the jerk, it was wrong of them to lie about what the loan was for. I have to ask, besides the loan, who is paying for this elaborate wedding? Ops response. They are. I know Katie has been saving for a while, and as I said, Chris earns good money too. As I understood it, they had saved enough to pay for the wedding they wanted. The £10,000 was expected because Mum and Dad very generously did the same for me, but the £17,000 additional venue fee was unexpected, and they couldn't get that amount of money together quickly without taking out a loan, which would have cost them more in the long run. Commenter 2. Wait a second, not only are they not paying for your parents, they're having your parents pay for his? That's like a double whammy. I don't know if you should go or not. Your choice will have a long-lasting impact on your relationship with your sister. Only you can decide if that is worth salvaging. Ops response. I don't want to lose my sister over this, and I don't want to be that person who says it's the principle of the situation, but honestly, it really is. Commenter 3. Lying and manipulating you and your parents out of $17,000 is not a small thing, it's not normal, and it's going to get worse. How long are you going to let her continue to use and lie to you? Ops response. Honestly, this is so out of left field for her. I've never known her to do anything like this before, it's still sinking in. Commenter 4. Honestly, if she is willing to lie about this now, what else will she lie to you about in the future, especially when dealing with her in-laws, or at the request of her husband? Ops response. This is the first time I've ever known her to lie to me. That's part of the reason why it's annoying me so much, like why lie about this now? Honestly, if she'd have come to us and said, this is the situation and why we need £17,000, I'd have been pissed and wouldn't have lent it, but we weren't the only option in terms of the money, they could have taken a loan. After that, it still would have been unfair, but it would have been their money and I would still have gone. Op adds an edit to her post. Crumbs, that's a lot of comments haha, thanks so much, everyone. Just wanted to answer a couple of questions/comments that have come up a lot. The repayment, my husband's brother is a solicitor, and he kindly drew up a contract and repayment plan for both myself and my parents, so the money will be paid off within 12 months of the wedding. If they don't stick to this, I have access to a free solicitor haha. I hope it won't come to that, but that's why I have the papers, for the worst case scenario. Asking for the £7,000 back, I might be a soft touch, but asking for this back feels like a step too far. Like, I'm mad as hell, but not enough to actively try to ruin their wedding a few weeks before, which it feels like, right now at least, is what that would be doing. But hey, give me a few more days to stew. Op adds a second edit to her post. Thanks again for all the feedback, everyone. Just another quick FYI, a few people have asked about Chris's family or seem to have the impression they're well off. I'm obviously not privy to their financial situation, but from the limited amount I do know from what Katie has said, Chris and his family grew up very poor. Before all this, I'd always thought Chris was a lovely guy, but I had caught him in the odd but harmless white lie, things like where he went to school, the type of house he grew up in, etc. I get the impression he is embarrassed or resentful of his upbringing, given their lack of money, and this is how he now values his own self-worth, by how much money he has. My guess is that when his family said they couldn't go, he panicked and worried people would ask why they weren't there, and he would either have to say they couldn't afford it or that he couldn't afford to pay for them. And look, his past trauma/experience is not for me to judge, but if that were the case, it just makes me more mad that they both didn't plan ahead and talk to friends/family about what they could afford before booking Dubai. If it was such a deal breaker for his family to be there, they should have factored in the cost of paying for all parents to attend, instead of thrusting a £3,000 per person bill at them, expecting them to rock up. Update 3 months later. I had a lot of messages at the time of posting, asking for an update on what I decided to do, so I wanted to check in. So, in short, I didn't end up going to the wedding. Katie and Chris basically harassed me constantly until a few days before they were due to fly out. I received a belligerent voicemail from Katie saying that if I didn't go, I wasn't her sister anymore. I was embarrassing myself and her and Chris. I was a horrible person, and most shockingly, that if I didn't go, then she and Chris wouldn't be paying me or my parents back for the money we loaned, so trying to blackmail me. She said it was a gift, that I faked the contract, and that I'd have to take her to court. She was clearly drunk at the time. The voicemail was left on the night she was having her at-home bachelorette party, which I also obviously didn't attend, but it was so beyond anything I thought she was capable of. I ended up sharing it with my parents, and they also reluctantly pulled out of attending. I heard through friends and family in attendance at the wedding that she and Chris were telling everyone I had alienated her from her family and told lies to our parents, that we gifted the money and expected them to pay for us, etc., and that they made the decision to uninvite myself and my husband. Other, more insulting things were said that I don't particularly want to go into. Suffice to say they were very hurtful. As I mentioned in my post, I had my brother-in-law, a solicitor, draw up a contract for repayment for both myself and my parents. What was supposed to be the first repayment date passed without a word from either of them, so my brother-in-law picked up from there. His attempts to reach them were ignored, apart from one email from what I think was a fake law firm, outlining that the money was gifted, the contract was fraudulent, and that we should take them to court, basically. In response to that, my brother-in-law sent a copy of the voicemail Katie left in a final demand, outlining that the payment plan was now null and void, and that we wanted the money in full within 30 days or we would indeed be going to court. Magically, the full amount appeared in our accounts 5 days later. Again, I've heard on the grapevine since the wedding that they have been telling anyone who would listen that we asked for our gift back out of the blue to disown them, and how much of a difficult financial position they are in because of this. So, that's that. I can't see myself having a relationship with her after this, which is devastating, but at the same time, I truly believe now, after everything, that isn't my fault. Thanks again to everyone who gave advice. I hope this update is enough for everyone who asked for one. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I'm a petty person. I would upload her message to all social media sites and tag her in them so people can hear, in her own words, how she was going to lie about all of that. You were not the jerk then and you are still not the jerk. Ops response. Everyone they've beached about me to so far, that I'm aware of, has called them out and known they're lying. Anyone who believes them without at least talking to me, I'm not too bothered about, as clearly I shouldn't have them in my life. So I'd rather just stay quiet and let her help me work out who should be in my life and who shouldn't. Commenter 2. I think the worst part of this whole story is that if Katie had just been straight up and said, hey, we really want this for our wedding, his parents can't afford it, we're willing to pay so they can attend, we just don't have the cash on hand with all the other wedding expenses, can you loan us money and we'll pay it back after the wedding? Ops sounds like they would have been cool with it. Ops response. You're right, I would have happily loaned the money as long as it was fair to both sets of parents. Part of the reason I was upset was that I thought they were taking advantage of my/our parents.